What's going on YouTube? So sitting beside me is a very important product, the 2023 Hyundai Palisade. And for 2023, Hyundai is completely refreshing this vehicle, giving it a lot more standard features as well as a refreshed exterior design. So we're just outside of Asheville, North Carolina today to check out this refreshed Hyundai Palisade. And what we're going to be doing in this video is a quick recap, but more importantly, the test drive portion of this Palisade review. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, so like I just said, we are going to be doing a quick recap of the exterior as well as interior features of this Palisade. We have a very in-depth review on our channel of this Palisade that came about a week ago. So if you're interested in knowing all those nitty-gritty details, please go ahead and check that out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into some of the just general details. So of course here in the front end, they have completely revised this. This is going to be the area that you see the most difference for the refreshed Palisade. So up here in the grille area, they've kind of squared everything off to make it look a little bit more tough and rugged. For the calligraphy, it's going to be finished in this nice chrome finish to give it a bougie touch to it. However, they have made a new XRT trim level that has kind of like an off-roady look that will fully black out this grille to give you an off-road and sporty look. Now, the headlights are also going to be revised for the 2023 refresh. They are still going to be projector LEDs as standard equipment, which is certainly a very nice touch. Here's your LED daytime running light, and also you have a new turn signal design that's kind of integrated within the grille when the vehicle is off. Now for 2023, Hyundai is also redesigning the wheel designs for the Palisade. Here on the calligraphy, we have a really nice looking 20-inch contrast alloy wheel. And if you remember correctly, the previous 2022 Palisade calligraphy had kind of a crazy wheel design. I certainly like the way this one looks a lot better. This has a classy, elegant look to it. Now, of course, you can get crazy wheel designs if you go for some of the different trim levels that have other options. And as far as your mirrors are concerned, they have also changed these for 2023, not in the overall design, but in the equipment level. You're going to have standard blind spot monitoring. You're also going to have standard auto dimming for 2023, which is a new feature that actually was not available on the Palisade at all, and now it's standard on every single model. Now, as far as the side goes, there's not really many changes in terms of the overall design. You're looking at a length of 196 inches and some change. We have some chrome elements for the calligraphy model, as well as roof rails if you go for all but the base model. And then if we come around to the rear design of the Palisade, this is going to be an area that doesn't see a lot of changes for the refresh. Honestly, it didn't need to, though, because this is one of the best looking 3-row SUVs out there. Palisade is spelled out across the back. We have an exposure wiper. For our taillights, they are going to be full LED. If you go for at least the SEL trim level, you have your amber LED daytime turn signal, and LED brake lights as well. Dropping down, incandescent reverse light. And for 2023, they have revised this tow hitch area to include a nice cover to give it a nice classy look. Your tow rating's 5,000 pounds, and you're also going to have dual exposed exhaust on the right side. Now, like I said, this video is a recap of the Palisade, so if you want to know all the details, go check out that other review. But as far as the safety systems are concerned, Hyundai is including every single one of them as standard equipment. And if you go for the limited trim and above, you will have their more advanced version of their highway driving assist function. And in addition to that, you have Hyundai's signature warranty, which is really the best in the business, plus complimentary maintenance. But guys, I won't waste any more time. Let's go ahead and hop into the interior briefly before we take it out in a spin.
But as nice as the exterior is, of course, the interior is arguably the most important part about a 3-row family crossover such as this. So I'm going to go ahead and climb inside of this beautiful and very luxurious cabin, and we will take a detailed look here, hit the highlights rather, of the refresh changes. There's quite a few different things. You'll be surprised. So I'll let Mason get into the back here, and we'll go ahead and go over that. So, as you can see, when I fire this up, let me make sure this doesn't get too noisy with the air conditioning. You're going to notice a lot of technology on board. I guess I could go ahead and start talking about that, the technology enhancements first and foremost, before we get into the other things. This right here is new. This is a 12.3-inch display. This replaces the previous 8 and 10.25-inch displays, and Hyundai actually includes this standard on every single version of this 2023 Palisade. So very nice to see this on board. It does have built-in navigation, wired Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay, not wireless. Now on the calligraphy, you also have a new rear camera mirror system with the HomeLink universal remotes. And then over here at our gauge cluster, we also have the 12.3-inch gauges. That's on limited and calligraphy. When you signal to the right or the left, you have that rear camera mirror. And also, you have a head-up display if Mason can't see that. Now, let's talk about overall materials. Very, very nicely finished. This continues to be one of the, if not the very most luxurious mainstream nameplates that you can get. Just an absolutely fantastic cabin, great materials. One of those things is going to be fine Napa leather seats. That, of course, is usually reserved for a luxury model, but you can get it here with the calligraphy Palisade. Nice stitching details, very nice quality, ventilated and heated, of course. And then you've got a lot of stitching details over here on the door trim, metal speaker grills, and you get these nice gloss black accents with the pinstriping through there. But overall, like I said, very, very nice. Now, in terms of what's different, this is one of the things that's different. This is going to be a updated steering wheel. I do like this aspect. It's the same as the latest Hyundai models. Manual tilt and telescoping. It is heated with the calligraphy. We also have this new single vent effect, which gives the cabin a more modern vibe. As I kind of come down this console here, you're going to notice we have climate controls. These are going to now be partially digital, so you have your physical controls to adjust the temperature, but it is a touch screen if you want to adjust the zone or the fan speeds. We also have an electronic shifter, standard paddle shifters on board, and a really nice 360 camera for both the limited and the calligraphy. My favorite new feature, though, is this button. This comes straight from the Genesis brand. You can spin a 360 view all around the vehicle. Very, very high tech and cool. Now, one of the things that the electronic shifter does is give us enormous amount of space. That has not changed for this refresh. So you have the large sensor pass-through, which there's really no way that Mason can see this, but all through here is a ton of storage. If you push that button, the lid comes back. You have all of this as storage, and you also have these pop-out cup holders, so you can basically configure if you want them or you don't want them. Wireless phone charger standard on all but the base model. And then we also have an enormous center console, which is good for any number of coupons you can throw at it. Now, as we rise on up here, we do have, of course, LED lighting. Really nice suede headliner here with the limited trim level. It's very nice. You'll also notice we have a standard size sunroof up here in the front, but that's not all. If you look to the back, you have a second moonroof. So this is a dual panel setup. And this part does have a power sunshade, as you can see. So it basically is kind of halfway between the second row and the third row. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and hop into the back and see what they're offering. All right, now heading into the second row of the calligraphy Palisade. It's really just as luxurious as the front row, and that's really saying something. You still have the fine Napa leather seats. As you can see, we have these really nice captain's chairs. They've still got the stitching details. They also have these really cool wing headrests. So check this out. I can actually bend this like you can on an airplane and hold yourself in place with a pillow-like structure. Really, really nice. And as far as other features, so advanced and so luxurious. 3-stage heated seats and 3-stage ventilated seats. That's, of course, a very rare feature. We've got our own independent zone, of course. You have a lot of USBs, you have 12-volt outlets, you have a household outlet. These seats do slide, they also recline, and you have the sunshades over here on the side, as well as the vents up at the top. Now, one of the things that's new for 2023 is that they're actually adding luxury features into the third row as well. So this has class-exclusive heated third row seats. So I'm not going to climb back there because, as you can see, they're folded. Currently, you can watch our main first review if you want to get the real nitty-gritty details of the specs and whatnot. But yes, you have the same quality leather and heating in the third row. Absolutely spectacular. And wrapping up this recap of the Palisade, let's go ahead and open up the cargo. I'll take a quick look inside of here. This is a maximum of 84 cubic feet when you fold down all the rows, so that's a very competitive number with the class actually bigger than a lot of the main competition. And most importantly, I think, is that this has a power folding third row. That again is another pretty rare feature for this class. But let's go ahead and get behind the wheel, because I know that's what you came to watch, and we're going to do that right now.
All right, so that was a brief acceleration up to 30 miles an hour. We are in a little bit of a city area here, so I'm not going to go too fast. We'll get a nice acceleration coming up just here in a little bit in the review once we make it to the interstate. But as far as the powertrain is concerned for this refreshed Palisade, you might think that Hyundai has changed some stuff because they really have done a lot for this refreshed model. But in terms of the powertrain department, they haven't really done anything. So you're going to have the same 3.8-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine. It's going to be making 291 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. So certainly healthy numbers for the segment. That's going to put it right in line with what you get out of the current Highlander, right in line with the current generation Pilot as well. It's really middle of the segment in terms of the power, and it's just a very nice, smooth, refined powertrain.
Right, and it is nice that you have the standard V6. Some of the rivals, also the Highlander, is moving towards a turbo 4-cylinder, replacing a V6, so it is nice to have the standard V6 on board. I will say, though, you still don't have any option for a hybrid, and I know a lot of you guys had talked about that.
Right.
Because Hyundai's very good, actually, about having hybrid versions.
Or plug-ins as well.
Yeah, of their other crossovers. So I am surprised they haven't added either of those options to this updated Palisade.
And there is 60 miles an hour in the Palisade. Now, granted, that was very much up a hill. But we are in Asheville, North Carolina. We don't have a super familiar route for us here, so we're going to do the best we can to get you guys everything. That was a good acceleration for you all. As you can see, even with the throttle absolutely matted to the floor, this Palisade still has a very refined note to it, and I think that's really the biggest benefit. Like Drew said, we have an upcoming 2023 Toyota Highlander that's now going to have a turbo 4-cylinder. Yet this is still rocking the very refined and smooth 3.8-liter V6. So that's definitely going to be a benefit for a lot of you guys because it makes the overall experience a lot more premium. Now, as far as other aspects of the powertrain that you might have noticed during that acceleration, the 8-speed automatic transmission is something worth noting. That, of course, has not changed for 2023, so we have the traditional 8-speed. It's a very good transmission. As you can see, I'll kick it down there. It's very fast responding to any type of throttle input. It's really anything you would want out of a transmission in the segment of vehicle.
Right, and standard front-wheel drive available, H-Track all-wheel drive across all the trim levels. That's going to be just under a $2,000 option. I think it's $1,900, so reasonable price. I imagine most of you guys will check that box.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to just discuss with this Palisade is how comfortable it is while we're sitting here on the highway. That's the first thing that struck me when I hopped in this model this morning is just, oh my goodness, this feels extremely luxurious. We don't have an air suspension or anything crazy like that, but the suspension is absolutely awesome. It soaks up the bumps really well. This is actually quite a rough interstate road, and it is just doing a great job. The seats are incredibly comfortable. I'm even getting a massage right now. I'm getting a whole body massage in a Palisade. Yes, I am, and I am not sad about it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. They've just done a great job of tuning the suspension to be very comfortable, but it is still well controlled as well. It's not, sloppy when you have to turn. I always thought that the Palisade felt, pretty maneuverable, where you have some in the class that just feel like humongous.
Right.
This feels, kind of light on its feet, which I like. Now, even though the road surface is a little beat up, we're basically going about 55 miles an hour, so we'll go ahead and do the sound level reading. All right, 54.9. I think that is a
testament. Oh
very
my gosh.
good testament to how comfortable and how quiet this is inside of the cabin, because this road is beat to crap. I really thought that was going to be so much louder.
Yeah. Back home, I feel like it would be at least like a solid 2 to 3 decibels lower, which would make this one of the lowest testings we've ever had. And I mean, that really is just something that I want to emphasize again, is just the overall solidity of this vehicle. Sitting here on this road, it's beat to pieces and nothing's rattling, nothing's creaking. You know, it just is doing a really fantastic job of feeling like a luxury vehicle.
Yeah, probably a lot of people, you know, actually can cross-shop this with a luxury vehicle, because just how many features you have, you can't really say you'd be missing out on much.
Right. Now pay attention, the auto start stop will kick on here at this red light. So it went ahead and turned off. One thing I will say is it does kind of dim down your climate controls. I don't think you'll actually notice the engine turn off. It's actually very smooth. I'll restart it up for you guys. Yeah, I mean, it does a really, really good job. You can't hardly feel any vibration whatsoever. That said, it does kind of turn down the climate controls, so you might...
it turns them down like so much that you're like,
you're going to notice. You're probably going to notice just based on the climate controls, but Hyundai has done a really phenomenal job.
You can always just turn it off right there if it bothers you, of course.
All right, guys, we may be just a few states over in Asheville, North Carolina, but we're still going to talk about our airball and slam dunk, one of our signature elements in any car Confections review. So for today, we're going to keep these pretty brief. I think you probably already know what our slam dunk is going to be. It's going to be the overall luxury experience in this Palisade. It is really top-notch, guys. I mean, you get in this, and I do kind of feel like I'm in like a German luxury vehicle, and that's just kind of a crazy impressive thing. And it's just very smooth and refined going on this on-ramp. It's a little twisty for a Palisade. The dynamics are not awful, though, really.
You know, the airball side of things, I already mentioned this, but I do think that they should add a hybrid version of this. As you know, in just the last few years, gas prices have gone up so much that, you know, it really seems like a much bigger of a problem than it was back when this first came out. So I do hope they'll get around to adding that as soon as they can.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of fuel economy, it is pretty decent for this segment. You're looking at 19 city, 27 highway, 22 combined with the front-wheel drive model. It's going to be 19 city, 25 highway, 21 combined for the all-wheel drive version. And, of course, that is going to be on regular fuel. I also will go ahead and talk about the pricing. So the base SE trim level front-wheel drive is going to start out at $34,950. You do have several tiers, which we talked about, that escalate in price until you get all the way up to the calligraphy trim level. That's what we have today, and that's going to start at $48,900 for that model. Now, after we add all-wheel drive, a carpeted floor mat option, and then the destination of $1,295, this particular model today is going to ring in at $52,310, maximally loaded. So, just like before, this remains really a phenomenal deal. Of course, you know, a lot of you guys have trouble finding ones that aren't marked up these days at dealerships, but as far as the MSRP is concerned, it is definitely a phenomenal deal.
Well, guys, what do we think about this refreshed 2023 Hyundai Palisade and its fully loaded calligraphy trim level? Well, I think you probably already know the answer to this. You may have seen some of our previous Palisade reviews, and we have given this glowing review since it came out in 2020. This is a phenomenal 3-row SUV, and for 2023, Hyundai has really just improved it even more. They've given us a lot nicer styling on the outside, in my opinion. I think the refresh got a lot more tough and more masculine looking, I guess, on the outside, so I love the way this looks. They've also updated some of the technology, some of the features thrown in. I mean, we have a heated third row, for instance. I mean, you don't get that in German vehicles that cost $100,000, so it's a lot of value baked in, and it's just a really luxurious experience overall. So if all that sounds like a winning formula to you, I suggest that you go to your Hyundai dealer and get one of these Palisades.